Hey, boys and girls. Okay, so today we are going to read chapter 8. And this is a dead giveaway. The title is called There Has Been a Death. So there has to be something good that is going to happen in this chapter. Because the last chapter was a little slow, I have to admit. But there was a lot of important details that you really should have paid attention to. Okay, just talking about what their life was like when they went to their uncle's house, and they're kind of the connection between Anne Marie's mom and her uncle, and just the amazement that Ellen had just being there. So there's a lot of little things that you should have paid attention to. So this chapter is really going to get a good feeling. And the vocabulary word that I really want you to focus on today is rueful. Rueful is an adjective, so it's feeling of regret for something that you did. So, for example, Mrs. Smith was rueful of, not putting gas in her car at the last second. Okay, so that's just an example. So make sure you look out for that word. Excuse me. Through a haze of dreams, Anne Marie heard Henrik rise and leave the house, headed for the barn with his milking pail at daybreak. Later, when she woke again, it was morning. She could hear birds calling outside, one of them close by the window in the apple tree, and she could hear Mama below in the kitchen talking to Kirsty. Ellen was still asleep. The night before, so shortened by the soldiers in the Copenhagen apartment, seemed long ago. Anne Marie rose quietly so that she wouldn't wake her friend. She pulled on her clothes and went down the narrow, curved staircase to find her sister kneeling on the kitchen floor, trying to make the gray kitten drink water from a bowl. "Silly," she said. "Kittens like milk, not water." "I am teaching this one new habits," Kirsty explained importantly, "and I have named him Thor, for God of Thunder." Anne Marie burst out laughing. She looked at the tiny kitten, who was shaking his head, irritated at his wet whiskers, as Kirsty kept trying to dip his face to the water. "God of Thunder," Anne Marie said. "He looks as if he would run and hide if there were a thunderstorm." "His mother had some place who would come for him, I imagine," Mama said. "And when he wants milk, he'll find his mama." "Or he could go visit the cow," Kirsty said. Although Uncle Henrik no longer raised crops on the farm as his parents had, he still kept a cow who munched happily on the meadow grass and gave a little milk each day in return. Now and then he was able to send cheese into Copenhagen and to his sister's family. This morning, Anne Marie noticed with delight that Mama had made oatmeal and there was a pitcher of cream on the table. It was a very long time since she had tasted cream. At home, they had bread and tea every morning. So I really think there's a lot of things that we are able to have every day that they couldn't have because of the war. Mama followed Anne Marie's eyes to the picture. "Fresh from blossom," she said. "Henrik's milks her every morning before he leaves for the boat." "And," she added, "there's butter too. Usually not even Henrik has butter, but he managed to save a little this time." "Save a little from what?" Anne Marie asked, spooning oatmeal into a floured bowl. "Don't tell me the soldiers tried to, relocate butter too." She laughed at her own joke. But it wasn't a joke at all, though Mama laughed ruefully. "They do," she said. They relocate all the farmers' butter right into the stomach of their army. I suppose that if they knew Henrik had kept this tiny bit, they would come with guns and march it away down the path. Kirsty joined their laughter as the three of them pictured a mound of frightened butter under military arrest. The kitchen darted away when Kirsty's attention was distracted and settled on the windowsill. Suddenly, there in the sunlight kitchen with cream and a pitcher and a bird in the apple tree beside the door, and out in the Kattegat, where Uncle Henrik, surrounded by the bright blue sky and water, pulled in his net filled with shiny silver fish. Suddenly, the specter of guns and grim-faced soldiers seemed nothing more than a ghost story, a joke with which to frighten children in the dark. So thinking, okay, with what's happening right now, they're kind kind of forgetting, not really forgetting, but they're kind of pushing that scary part of their soldier visit to the side. Ellen appeared in the kitchen doorway, smiling sleepily, and put another floured bowl of steaming oatmeal on the old wooden table. "Cream," Anne-Marie said, gesturing to the pitcher with a grin. All day long, the girls played out of doors under the brilliant clear sky and sun. Anne-Marie took Ellen to the small pasture beyond the barn and introduced her to Blossom, who gave a lazy, rough, textured lick to the palm of Ellen's hand when she extended it timidly. The kitten scampered about and chased flying insects across the meadow. The girls picked armfuls of wildflowers, dried brown now by the early fall chill, and arranged them in pots and pitchers until the tabletops were crowded with their bouquets. Inside the house, Mama scrubbed and dusted, tisking at Uncle Henrik's untidy housekeeping. She took the rugs out on the clothesline and beat them with a stick, scattering dust in the air. "He needs a wife," she said, shaking her head, and attacked the old wooden floors with a broom while the rugs aired. "Just look at this," she said, opening the door to the little, useful, formal living room with its old-fashioned furniture. "He never dusts." And she picked up her cleaning rags. "And Kirsty," she added, "the god of thunder, made a very small rain shower in the corner of the kitchen floor. Keep an eye on him." Late in the afternoon, Uncle Henrik came home. He grinned when he saw the newly cleaned and polished house, the double doors in the living room wide open, the rugs aired, and the windows washed. "Henrik, you need a wife," Mama scolded him. Uncle Henrik laughed and joined Mama on the steps near the kitchen door. "Why do I need a wife when I have a sister?" he asked in his booming voice. Mama sighed, but her eyes were twinkling. "And you need to stay home more often to take care of the house. The step is broken, and there is a leaking faucet in the kitchen." And Henrik was grinning at her, shaking his head in mock dismay. "And there are mice in the attic, and my brown sweater has a big moth hole in the sleeve. And if I don't wash the windows soon," they laughed together. "Anyway," Mama said, "I have opened every window, Henrik, to let the air in and the sunlight. Thank goodness it's such a beautiful day." "Tomorrow will be a day for fishing," Henrik said, his smile disappearing. It's interesting. Why would he mention fishing and then not be happy about it? Because typically when you fish, it's usually something, if that's something that you enjoy, it's usually something to smile about, but he wasn't smiling, so it's got to be something, it's got to mean something else. It's got to be like a code or something. Kind of like when Papa called Uncle Henrik and kind of said that code, that's not what he really meant. So maybe there's some kind of secret code going on, just in case the German soldiers are listening to them. Anne-Marie listened, recognizing the old phrase. Papa had said something like this on the telephone. "Is the weather good for fishing, Henrik?" Papa had asked, but what did it mean? Henrik went fishing every day, rain or shine. Denmark's fishermen didn't wait for sunny days to take their boats out and throw their nets into the sea. Anne-Marie, silent, sitting with Ellen under the apple tree, watched her uncle. Mama looked at him. "The weather is right," she asked. Henrik nodded and looked at the sky. He smelled the air. "I will be going to the boat tonight after supper. We will leave very early in the morning. I will stay on the boat all night." Anne-Marie wondered what it would be like to be on a boat all night, to lie at anchor hearing the sea slap against the sides, to see the stars from your place on the sea. "You have prepared the living room," Uncle Henrik asked suddenly. Mama nodded. "It is cleaned, and I moved the furniture a bit to make room." "And you saw the flowers," she added. "I hadn't thought of it, but the girls picked dried flowers from the meadow." "Prepared the living room for what?" Anne-Marie asked. "Why did you move the furniture?" Mama looked at Uncle Henrik, and he had reached down for the kitchen, scampering past, and now held it against his chest and scratched its chin gently. It arched its small back with pleasure. "Well, girls," he said, "it is a sad event, but not too sad, really, because she was very, very old. There has been a death, and tonight your great Aunt Bert will be resting in the living room in her casket before she is buried tomorrow. It is the old custom, you know, for the dead to rest at home and their loved ones to be with them before burial." Kirsty was listening with a fascinated look. Right here? She asked. A dead person right here? Anne-Marie said nothing. She was confused. This was the first she heard of a death in the family. No one had called Copenhagen to say that there had been a death. No one had seemed sad. Interesting. And most puzzling of all, she had never heard the name before, Great Aunt Bert. Surely she would have known if she had a relative by that name. Kirsty might not. Kirsty was little and didn't pay attention to such things. But Anne-Marie did. She had always been fascinated by her mother's stories of her own childhood. She remembered the names of all the cousins, the great aunts and uncles who had been a tease, who had been a grouch, and who had been such a scold that her husband had finally moved away to a different house, though they continued to have dinner together every night. Such wonderful, interesting stories filled with colorful personalities of her mother's family. And Anne-Marie was quite certain, though. She said nothing. There was no Great Aunt Bert. She didn't exist. So, really, I'm starting to notice, are you noticing that there's a lot of things that they're kind of saying in code? And if you really think about it, a lot of the things they are doing in secret, and it's really to protect people and to save them. Because if you really think about it, I'm sure the Nazis and the German soldiers are, really listening to what people are saying and really watching what they're doing. And so they have to be very, very secretive of anything they say or do. So I wonder if this is like another secret code as well, just like the whole fishing code. Is it good weather to go fishing? Well, maybe this is another secret code. So really try to make your predictions. And hopefully you took notes. I should have said that before, but hopefully you took notes about what you read, about what I read to you, and just write your predictions down. What do you think is going to happen next? So far, they've been talking in a lot of code. So what do you think is going to happen next? I predict. What do you predict? Because what? Okay, so really think about what's going to happen next, and the story is really getting juicy. They're talking in a lot of code. Now try to figure out what that code means. Why would they be talking in code? Not just based off of what I said, but what do you think? All right, well, boys and girls, till next time, make sure you practice your vocabulary words as well.